Ultimately, the feds were on Big U for several years before they finally closed in, and he no doubt knew something bad was coming. On the 2-year anniversary of Rayshawn Williams' murder, North Las Vegas Police Department agents visited Big U's home, but he wasn't there. His wife then called him on his father's phone to warn him, with Big U sounding notably shaken, and then opting to stay away from home for a couple of weeks, something apparently out of the ordinary for his usual routine. Apparently the cops and the FBI tried to contact a number of people involved in the case, and every time Big U was one step ahead, even tampering with witnesses and attempting to make sure their statements were not incriminating. Big U was being surveilled heavily in the lead up to the arrests. The criminal complaint would break down details of all the times that Big U was recorded, bragging about using violence and fear to control his communities. And he would seemingly be pulled over and served a warrant for his DNA sample in the summer of 2023. In the lead up to the arrest, as 600 and whack begun circulating the rumors of this case getting serious, Big U took to social media to say that the allegations were untrue and that people blame Big U for everything, alluding to new rumors that he was involved in the murder of Fats, Nipsey's best friend.
Don't worry about this, man. Y'all gotta understand, man. People gonna talk. These lanes make money off of using Big U name. Right. One thing is for certain, right? Everything they say, Big U did it, man. They got me doing so much. I don't even know what. I don't even know what I'm talking about. Then I didn't do it.
Got you a whole bunch of different places at one time.
At one time. They say, y'all, you know, it's another new one too. I got into it with Fats. Let me give y'all the information on it. I ain't never got into it with Fats. Fats is my little homeboy. Ever in my life, me and Fats ever got into it with nobody. Never. Ever. You really stupid and you really the biggest selling name on the West Coast is you gotta say Big U name. You wanna sell something, Big U. They wanna do something, Big U. They wanna do Big U. Big U. Y'all don't get that yet?
But it was on the 17th of March 2025 when the music would finally stop and the feds would close in on Big U and the Rollin' 60s. A huge 107-page criminal complaint would be filed outlining the sordid details of Big U's alleged criminal empire that had terrorized LA for years, and 2 days later, arrests would be taking place. The operation, called Operation Drawdown, no doubt titled to make a tongue-in-cheek reference to the downfall of Draws, aka Big U, was announced by the LA District Attorney and the FBI in a press conference that described Big U as a career criminal.
Today, we're here to announce federal criminal charges against Eugene Henley Jr., a career criminal known as Big U, who used his contacts and leadership role in the Crips criminal street gang, the entertainment industry, and a youth charity to further his own criminal enterprise. An enterprise engaged in murder, extortion, robbery, COVID fraud. Henley engaged in a murder of a musician signed to his label in 2021 and dumped the victim's body in Las Vegas off of the I-15 freeway. He then attempted to evade and obstruct the investigation into the murder, including ordering witnesses not to speak with law enforcement.
The DA would even reveal that they had been following Big U's podcast activities as part of the investigation.
Here, as I said, Mr. Henley is a widely known leader within the Rollin' 60s. He rose to prominence in that gang decades ago, and he has since been a fixture on the internet, talk shows, and podcasts. All things that law enforcement have looked at closely as part of this investigation.
The criminal complaint was surprisingly comprehensive and revealed that the feds had been looking into the case since February 2021, just a week after the murder of Rayshawn Williams, describing Big U as the leader of the Rollin' 60s Crips, running it as a mafia-like organization. It used wiretaps, planted cameras, cell site information, as well as search warrants of social media, iCloud and Google accounts, and financial records belonging to those involved in the alleged conspiracy, even using undercover agents to buy guns and drugs from people involved in the conspiracy. Big U, Loose Cannon, and even Brick Baby, who wasn't even named as a defendant in the complaint, had their phones tapped by the feds, and hidden cameras and bugged microphones were even planted at locations that they were known to visit. The criminal complaint even claimed that Big U and the gang were using podcasts and online documentaries, as well as interviews to make the public fear the Big U enterprise. Shout out to the FBI agent that's getting paid to watch this one. Thank you for your service. And the feds would even directly cite comments made on the No Jumper podcast as evidence. It was also stated that while Brick Baby wasn't a main defendant in the Operation Drawdown, he had a separate sealed indictment pending for a different case. Brick Baby's indictment revealed 2 counts for illegally having guns and bullets, one of these incidents allegedly taking place on the 12th of June 2022, when Brick would reportedly shoot a 9mm handgun in the parking lot of a business, with a second incident taking place on the 23rd of June 2023, when Brick would be arrested by the LAPD, who allegedly found him with 3 guns and more than 130 bullets, and since some weapons and ammunition may have come out of state, this immediately triggered federal charges. The paperwork would also show Brick's earlier criminal history at the time of this arrest, ranging from 2010 2010 to 2020, including reckless evading, 2 counts of possession of controlled substances, criminal threats, and robbery. Hey, who said Brick ain't got a rap sheet, huh? And while Brick would not be charged on the Big U RICO case, the feds would note that Brick's case may be related, as it arises out of the same conspiracy. It would be revealed in news reports that hundreds of agents had executed simultaneous arrests targeting 19 defendants identified in the case.
Now, this morning, hundreds of agents and officers, including multiple SWAT teams, executed multiple arrest warrants for many of the 19 defendants charged in this case. Search warrants were executed at 6 locations. Those searches continue to be underway. 4 of the 19 defendants were already in custody, and 10 defendants were taken into custody in the last 24 hours. And while we're still seeking the whereabouts of 5 individuals, 3 of whom we believe we will have in custody shortly, 2 defendants are considered fugitives.
Approximately 10 defendants were arrested, including Loose Cannon and Brick Baby, with footage of Loose's arrest being filmed by his wife circulating online. But interestingly, at the press conference, it was announced that Big U was a fugitive and was still at large, despite the criminal complaint and pending charges.
Mr. Henley is a fugitive, and he is currently wanted by federal law enforcement.
The news would continue to report on the arrest, proudly showing collages of those targeted. Big U had been on the run and released a statement saying that he was with his family and planning to turn himself in, as well as suggesting that the case against him wasn't true and that he was just being hunted for helping black people.
This is my last video before I turn myself in. I'm with my family. Talk to my sons, I talk to everybody, man. I'm just saying, going to deal with this fight, see what it is. I just want y'all to know, all this stuff is quagmire. So, I just need y'all prayers. I need y'all to, I don't even know what to say. Now, 21 years, I elevated my family, come back, and write and do what I need to do until I can come back home. People are supposed to help me, I hope you help me. If you can't, you don't worry about it. A lot of stuff y'all hearing is straight trash. And I appreciate the love and I appreciate the people who've been helping me. I don't know. It's hard helping black people and not being hunted for doing it.
First Street, it might be to, I don't know if it's to the right or the left.
Reach out to anybody who can help me, y'all.
You hear me?
Help my own family. Appreciate y'all.
Big U would then take to social media once again to elaborate further on his feelings, firstly denying stealing money from developing options and claiming that the money he took was simply a salary that he used to pay his bills and feed his family.
I'm looking at this video as I come in to turn myself in, and I'm disheartened by the fact that they trying to say that I stole something from Developing Option or I used Developing Option for some front. Developing Option paid my bills. They paid my house note. They paid the bills for my family, the money I made from as an employee for Developing Option. I never mixed that with nothing. I didn't manipulate nobody. I didn't steal nothing. We did PPP loans. We did 2 loans. And that's it, just like everybody else did. I didn't use no fraud. I didn't give none of fake names. And one of them we was paying back and one they forgave. You know what I mean? And the other one we attempted for and they didn't give us nothing for it. I filed my taxes and them coming around talking about I was using Developing Option as a cover. Cover for what? None of that's going to be true.
He would go on to claim that of the over dozen co-defendants in the case, many he doesn't even talk to.
The government putting this big picture, they want to arrest 21 dudes. Some dudes I don't even talk to. I don't even know nothing about.
Big U sounded defeated in these clips and told followers to pray for him, reflecting on all his achievements that he had made over his last 21 years of freedom.
It is what it is. Church, just pray for me. Just pray for me, pray for my family. And you look at what we did. You look at what I did. I've been home 21 years. It ain't over though.
Big U would go on to say that he doesn't talk to any of the other people arrested and that the cops might as well arrest 600 and whack since they're including his so-called enemies.
And then I'm looking at the people they arrested. How you gonna go arrest people that I don't even talk to? Everybody know I don't with Cannon. Everybody know I with Brick Baby. So if you went to arrest certain dudes, and putting them next to me, Them is the dudes you gonna have that call themselves turning against me. Well, ain't no turn against me. You might as well go get 600 and whack.
Big U even accused 600 of waiting outside of his house with the police to watch the raid, a response to the fact that he'd reposted footage from the raid on his socials.
One of us, it ain't nobody safe with these dudes. If these dudes feel they want you, how they going around talking about somebody's gonna raid my house before my house get raided? How they there with the police? 600 was actually with the police when they raided my house. He's actually got video and footage of it, so y'all know what y'all dealing with. And I just want to say this to y'all. When they raided my houses and my property, they was asking about whack, loose cannon, 600, and this internet stuff.
Elsewhere, Big U would also suggest that whoever takes his spot as the leader of the 60s community movement must be working with WAC 100 to take that spot.
But y'all gonna be rolling with these dudes. And I got this last thing to say. WAC said he was gonna destroy developing option, right? So who gonna replace developing option? Which one of you in the 60s gonna call yourself coming in? Because whoever try to come in, y'all the ones that's working with WAC. Believe that. So remove me to get me out the way for somebody else to come in who gonna cooperate. That's what the play is.
Big U went on to blame WAC for working with the FBI to try and take away his government funding.
100 times he was gonna take my contracts. He working with the FBI. The FBI went to the city 3 days in a row and told the city they didn't want nobody to give me no more money. They went to all the different celebrities and told all the different celebrities, don't give me no money, don't help me, don't do nothing for me. They going around scaring and intimidating everybody.
Now, Big U calling out people shutting him down and saying they were scaring and intimidating people was pretty hypocritical. But from here, he would continue to pull the race card and claim that the FBI are trying to shut down black men doing right by their communities.
Trouble. Like y'all don't understand what the FBI do to black men who try to help their community. I ain't been nothing but a help to our community. But I guess it is what it is. This the price of being black and trying to help somebody, trying to help your community and do what you can. You're just guilty because somebody else don't like you and they go on the internet and do what they want to and y'all gonna promote it. It's crazy.
Now, it's this sort of thing that made Big U so dangerous, allegedly harming his own community under the guise of helping it and then hiding behind the race card when accountability came knocking. But ultimately, the facade had now been destroyed. The news would report on Big U going into FBI custody, describing him like a mob boss.
With breaking news, this just in, the FBI says that South LA crime boss Eugene Big U Henley is now in custody. Authorities say he ran a mafia-like organization while masquerading as a music mogul and gang peacemaker. Some
would report that the DA handling the case was looking at connections between Big U and Nipsey's murder as well. All this crazy news sent the podcast media space into a frenzy. A No Jumper News episode discussing the latest news went mega viral, reaching over 15,000 live viewers and racking up hundreds of thousands of views. Funnily enough, during a segment on the show while WAC 100 was calling in, the full criminal complaint dropped online. I actually read this immediately and even sent Adam22 a number of screenshots of details that related to No Jumper and his podcast shows, including the show with WAC, as well as the section about WAC being confronted by the Rolling 60s at the show at the Novo. In response to this, Big U's nephew, Tiny Draws, would post about the podcast saying that those people don't do anything for their communities and are snitches. The news sparked a raucous debate which went far beyond the walls of No Jumper. On social media, an apparent public hit was put on Christopher Lovejoy and Loose Cannon, and WAC 100 would claim that Brick and Big U were named in a sealed court file tied to a case against the New Jersey Rolling 60s, a case that led to the battle rapper Sue Surf being sentenced to 5 years in prison.
In Jersey.
What did Brick ever have to do with them? You think Brick is in some way complicit
Big U
with that?
too. He had a sealed file, the exposures, Prince, Lavish, pulled it up, we tracked the case number back to Sue Surf now. First we thought it was some dirt. It's not dirt. He got a sealed file, dope case, New Jersey. It's the same indictment. Sue Surf now. I know it is.
On the 26th of March 2025, a full indictment would be returned from a California grand jury, which formally charged Big U, Vay, Bearclaw, Loose Cannon, and 2 others with a litany of crimes. This reiterated the claims made in the prior criminal complaint, as well as provided several new key details and pieces of evidence that gave more insights into the alleged crimes committed, like pictures of the scene where Rayshawn Williams' body was found, or interesting details like the fact that Big U left the subpoena and a baseball hat associated with the Rolling 60s behind for the feds to find after they raided his home. home, and that Big U's social media messages while on the run were now being included as overt acts as part of the racketeering conspiracy. Sadly, it's not looking good for the Rollin 60 neighborhood Crips, especially Big U. In conclusion, it seems that Big U was perhaps one of the most infamous and feared Crips in LA history. No doubt he truly did run Los Angeles in a sense. Nothing could happen in the streets without him having a say, and if the indictment is to be believed, this was truly a dangerous man, willing and ready to kill at the slightest violation. A predator, preying on the weak and extorting those who were scared of his reputation with threats of violence that the whole city knew he was willing to follow through on. But really, this is also the story of a sick individual. I can't imagine how twisted someone would have to be to murder one of their son's childhood friends, one that they had personally coached in football as a child no less. If these allegations are true, then we're dealing with a very dangerous person put zero value on human life and was willing to kill a child they had seen grow up over something as trivial as a diss song or wasted studio time. That's one of the most dark and twisted things I have ever heard in a gang case, and if it's proven in court, then there's no doubt that Big U won't be seeing the streets again. But in Big U's defense, even though the criminal complaint paints a damning picture of the double life he was living, we can't necessarily overlook the actual good that he did do for his community. Although there's accusations that Big U scams may have reached all the way to the kids' toy drives, you can't remove all the toys, gym equipment, and other stuff that his organization did manage to donate to kids in need, all the countless hours that he personally dedicated to do something positive for the youth in his community. But then again, does that make it worse? Were the positive things Big U did in fact do for his community genuine efforts by a flawed gangster to take the right path, or are these also just calculated moves of a manipulative mastermind who masterfully used positive acts as a method to mystify and cloak a dark empire of murder and extortion? We'll have to see how this case plays out in court, but the sad truth is, if these allegations are true, the man who was doing the most for his community was also doing the most damage to it. Ultimately, sometimes it seems like the image that people try and portray can say more about what they're pretending to be rather than what they really are. I hope that Big U can get a fair and speedy trial, and if there's one thing that I've learned from this story, it's that if you are going to be part of a murderous gang conspiracy, maybe, just maybe, you shouldn't do any podcasts.